now. Excellent. So over to you, Jason.
Thanks, Stacey. And hello, everyone. I know some of you. I'm Jason Russo. I'm the Fundraising, Marketing and Communications Manager here at MND Queensland. I'm one of the two people in fundraising here. So the other person in my team is Caitlin Mulcahy, and she's the events and fundraising coordinator. So she puts on events like our walks and our other fundraisers. So I guess today I'll be chatting to you about our fundraising program and how you can get involved, and perhaps not just yourselves, but how you can inspire your family and friends to get involved as well and support our efforts. So, okay, so a little bit about MND Queensland firstly. MND Queensland was formed in 1983 to provide services and support to Queenslanders impacted by motor neurone disease. Some of you may know that we receive no ongoing government funding at all. So we're really reliant on our own self-generated funds through the work that we do through the NDIS, for example, along with our donations, events, community fundraising efforts, grants, volunteers and bequests. And it's especially the case that our work with people over the age of 65 is really reliant on our community fundraising efforts. MND Queensland is a part of a national alliance with other states under the umbrella of MND Australia, and that also includes MND Research Australia. So down the bottom of the screen there, you'll also see some of our taglines. So we've got a few that we use. Cause, Care, Cure, Never Give Up, which was first introduced by our founder, Charles Graham, a long time ago, and that's adopted nationally as well. And our other tagline is until there is a cure, there is care. So MND Queensland supports people impacted by MND through our MND advisory service, our equipment hire service, support groups like this one, occupational therapy, NDIS support coordination, education, and advocacy. And there is another program that's coming up. Did we want to announce anything about that, Stacey? Thumbs up, or we'll be announcing it. We'll be announcing it very, very soon anyway. So watch out on our social media for that one and through your emails. So getting involved can help us raise vital funds to provide essential services and support to people with MND and fund research. Getting involved can also help increase community awareness about MND, and you probably know through your interactions with people that a lot of people might have heard about MND, but they don't actually really know what it is. And getting involved or getting your family and friends involved can be a really positive thing for them as well, because they often feel helpless or useless. They don't really know how to support the person diagnosed with MND if they're not a personal carer or if they're not in that kind of capacity. So encouraging your family and friends to get involved can actually help with their emotions and dealing with the individual's diagnosis. So I'm going to get into some of the ways you can actually get directly involved. So the easiest and most obvious one is donating or becoming a regular monthly giver. So we've got a website set up, a Give Now website, and the links are there on the screen. We're a registered charity and a deductible gift recipient, and all donations $2 and over are tax deductible. We also send out newsletters and quarterly appeals, so you might want to donate to those or encourage your family and friends to donate to those appeals or newsletters as well. So the biggest part of our community fundraising is third-party fundraising, and in a good year that can bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars for us. And some clients get involved in third-party fundraising. So later this year we've got JoJo's Glitter Gala, which is being put on by a client that we support and her family. So that's a major gala fundraiser, but it doesn't have to be a ball or a gala. It can be a simple activity. So nationally this year we're introducing the Drink Tea for MND campaign in August. So that's just holding a small gathering with your family and friends and putting on a bit of a tea party. But there's lots of other things you can do. So there's a picture there of Lorraine, one of our supporters who dyed her hair blue and collected donations. I think she collected nearly $2,000 worth of donations for dyeing her hair blue. There's a picture of Jared there with some drag queens. So he did the Bridge to Brisbane a couple of years ago, and part of his fundraising was a drag bingo night. You could do a golf day or an art exhibition. So there's a photo there of Creevy Russell lawyers in Toowoomba who did an art exhibition and raised about $6,000 for us a few years ago. You might want to do a trivia night or a theatre performance. It's up to you. There's all sorts of ways you can get involved. So down the bottom of the screen here, there's a family of 4, the Walters, who rode around Australia for us a couple of years ago, and they raised almost $60,000 over the course of a year. Beside them, there's another cycling team. So that was the Moranbah Mackay Ride for MND. And so they raised, it was well over $10,000, I believe, from the top of my head. But there's also a group here in Townsville. They're a bowling club, so they did a bowling day for us, and they sold some merchandise, and they raised a few $1,000s. And then Regis Aged Care and Cairns did a fete for us, and they raised about $8,000. And there's all sorts of ways we can support you or your family or friends to put on an event. So we can help with providing merchandise or help provide you with a web page that you can use to send out to your family and friends to collect donations. We've got donation buckets that you can have at your event. There's all sorts of ways, and myself or Caitlin would be happy to talk to you about how we can actually support you do your own event. So I guess you've probably heard about the Ice Bucket Challenge. So that started, I think it was 2014, and the hashtag is every August until there is a cure. So that's a bit difficult for us here in Australia because that's winter. So it did start in the Northern Hemisphere where it's summer. So it's a lot easier for them to tip a bucket of ice water over their heads. But it is a fun way to get involved. It's simply a matter of filling a bucket of water with some ice and tipping it over your head, and then getting nominating a couple of your contacts to do the same thing, and also making a donation. So I've got a little video here to play. So this is our CEO, Ian, getting the bucket tipped over his head by Stacey, who you're all familiar with.
Unusual pleasure in doing this. My name's Ian Landreth. I'm the newly arrived appointed CEO of MND Queensland, and my staff have nominated me for the singular pleasure and discomfort of having ice water tipped over me as part of the Ice Bucket Challenge. It's a small indication of the discomfort that people living with MD have, so it's a very small step to make. If you could make a small step and add to the donations on my website, I would be grateful to have your funds to deploy for those who need it a whole lot more. So dig into your pockets, and my colleague's going to take more than unusual pleasure in doing this. Go for it.
So the Ice Bucket Challenge is a fun way to get involved or get your family and friends involved. And you'll also see over here, we've got a school community. So Ethan in Toowoomba challenged his school community to do the Ice Bucket Challenge a couple of years ago. That's his little brother tipping an icy bucket over his head. And Ethan also had the pleasure of tipping a bucket of ice water over his teacher's head. So Ethan managed to raise a couple of $1,000s from that effort. So it's a fun, easy way to fundraise as well as raise awareness. So that whole school community were made aware about MND through that challenge. So another way to get involved is actually participate in MND Queensland hosted events. So some of our biggest events are our Walk to Defeat MND events. So we've already had walks in Brisbane, the Gold Coast and Springfield so far this year. We've still got some walks coming up in Toowoomba on the 12th of September and Redcliffe on the 17th of October. We're also hosting a trivia night, Mastermind for MND, on the 6th of August here in Wollongabba. As I mentioned just before, Drink Tea for MND is going to be a national program this year. It's going to be in the week starting the 22nd of August, and on the 24th of August, there's going to be a national push to have lots of tea parties on that day. Then also coming up, we've got a Monet and Merlot paint and sip style fundraising event. That's only going to be a small event for about 35 people, but that's on the 28th of August at South Brisbane. So you can see there's a few images of our walks here, and our walks always have some fun elements to them. So there's always awards for the highest fundraising team, highest fundraising individual, best dressed, and these two girls on the Gold Coast this year got the best dressed because they created their own t-shirts in memory of their grandma. We also encourage people to bring their dogs along, and so there's always a top dog award and a cornflower sprout for the cutest kid. And yeah, it's a fun day, and we do raise a lot of money from these events, and they're important fundraisers for us. So another photo here is of our trivia night that we had a couple of years ago. And then these photos over here are Motor On. So we've had a couple of Motor On events so far. They're fun car scavenger hunts, so they're a good way for the whole family to get involved. We try and design them so people with MND can get involved as well, and they don't need to get out of their car. So we try and make all the clues pretty easily accessible along the route. And then we have awards and a community picnic at the end of the car scavenger hunt. So they're a fun day out. So merchandise is a pretty simple way to get involved and raise awareness, as well as help us fundraise. So we have our branded merchandise that's available on our website. And as I mentioned previously, we can also supply some of that merchandise if you're hosting your own event, and it's the style of event where you might be able to sell some merchandise and raise some extra funds. So some of you might be familiar with the entertainment book, which was sold for many years and offered discounts, so 50% off or 2-for-1 discounts on things like fine dining, casual dining, takeaway, accommodation, car hire, shopping, experiences. They don't sell the books anymore. It's all an app on your smartphone, which is even better because it's really accessible. You take it with you everywhere you go. You can, if you're out and you want to have lunch somewhere, you can check to see if that place or somewhere near you is listed with entertainment. That's really handy. And then every membership that we sell, we get 20% back of that price. So that helps with our fundraising efforts. So there's a link there if you're interested in sharing that or buying your own entertainment membership. And there's different ones. So there's Brisbane Sunshine Coast, there's a Gold Coast membership, there's a North Queensland membership, and you can actually buy different styles of membership. So you can buy it so you've got access to every entertainment app around the country. So it's good if you're going on holidays. There's even a Bali entertainment app. So there's different styles of membership you can purchase as well at different levels. So outdoor events are a good way for people to get involved. So there are things like the Brisbane Marathon or the Bridge to Brisbane or Gold Coast Marathon or Noosa Triathlon. There's lots of different events that we're registered with a few different platforms. So when people are registering for the event, they can choose to fundraise for MND Queensland. So this is a good way for those active members of your family or friends that like getting out and doing things like marathons or triathlons to get involved and raise funds for MND Queensland. So when registering, they just need to look for MND Queensland or our formal name, which is Motor Neurone Disease Association of Queensland Incorporated. So you might be having a birthday party or an anniversary celebration or another special occasion. And instead of flowers or gifts, maybe you could ask your guests to make a donation to MND Queensland instead. We can give you a donation bucket, or we can also help set up a web page for you so you can accept online donations. So one area that MND Queensland could improve on is our corporate networks and our corporate support. So if you have family or friends in the corporate world, or they might own a business that might be able to provide sponsorship or a donation or grants or goods in kind that we can use to fundraise through a raffle or auction, encourage them to contribute to MND Queensland to assist with our fundraising. There's all sorts of ways that we can recognise their contribution, and that could be through our newsletters or listing them on our website or doing social media posts. And a lot of big businesses also have workplace giving programs. So that's where employees make a donation out of their wages before they get paid. So maybe you know somebody who works in a big business. Maybe you could just tap them on the shoulder and see if we could be included on their workplace giving charity list. Now, your stories are important. And I know a couple of you I've spoken with, and you've shared your stories with me. And we really appreciate that, because the best way we can increase awareness about MND and seek community support is to share your stories. We need to illustrate to people the impacts of MND and what living with MND is like, but also how MND Queensland supports you, and the benefits that you're getting through our support. So in that way, we can both ask people for a donation, but also report back to our donors about the good work that we're doing and how we're supporting people. So we share stories in our newsletters and our social media. Sometimes we share them through advocacy campaigns like Make Aged Care Fair, and also through our quarterly donor appeals. So if you're willing to share your story, I'd really love to hear from you. So advocacy is something that we often don't get recognised for, but we try to achieve the best outcomes for every person impacted by MND in Queensland. And together, we can make a difference. And you can get involved simply through signing a petition and then sharing that amongst your networks. So I've just posted recently or today about the Disability Doesn't Discriminate campaign on our Facebook page. So that's being run by Spinal Life, and we're encouraging everybody to get involved, because it's very similar to our Make Aged Care Fair campaign, where we're trying to achieve change in the system so that people diagnosed with MND after the age of 65 can get all of the benefits that somebody on the NDIS gets as well. So we know that people on aged care packages don't get enough funding to get the support that they need. So this is just one campaign that you can get involved with and share through your networks to try and help us achieve change. And I've just mentioned our social media. So one of the easiest ways to get involved is to follow us and like and share our social media posts and help encourage participation and increase awareness. And also, please feel free to comment. So on the screen now, you'll see all of the links to our social media accounts. So we've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And after every one of these webinars, I upload the videos to our YouTube account and put them on, link them to our website as well. So please follow us and like and share our content. So I recognise that this could be a bit of a sensitive issue for some people, but in memoriam donations are another form of fundraising for us. So even when you're gone, you can show your values and continue to support MND Queensland. So in memoriam donations often happen at somebody's funeral. So we can supply donation envelopes that can be made available to funeral attendees, or we can also set up a web page that can be shared for online donations as well. And then when we receive those donations, we also report back to the family, the next of kin, about the result of those donations. So they can see who supported MND Queensland through the funeral and how much was raised. So another sensitive topic is around bequests or leaving a gift to MND Queensland in your will. This legacy gift could be in the form of money or property or other items of value like shares or jewellery or art. But we encourage you to firstly look after your family or loved ones in your will and then consider leaving a gift to MND Queensland. We can provide wording for your solicitor to use when creating or rewriting your will. And if you let us know about your plans, we can also thank you personally and also discuss ways that we could recognise your gift and pay tribute to you if this is something that you'd like. So I probably whipped through that pretty quickly, but that's all from me. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Excellent, thank you, Jason. If everyone could unmute themselves now so that we can have a bit of a chat, that would be great. I can't unmute anyone because I think most of you would have done it yourselves. Just whilst we're waiting for everyone to come online with their speakers, I just wanted to add to something you said there, Jason, around the services that we provide. We don't get any government funding at all for the services that we provide, and obviously some of them are there is a fee for the service, but realistically more than half of what we do in services is unfunded. So we don't get any income for the advice services we provide to anyone that's not on NDIS or the coordination supports that we offer. So anyone that gets help from us to access the NDIS, or everyone that is not eligible for the NDIS, which is about half of our client base, there is no funding at all for that. So we rely entirely on our fundraising activities to be able to provide those services. So that's one of the reasons why the support of our community is so important to us. But like Jason also said, and I said in my email, we regularly get asked by people that aren't necessarily providing hands-on support to someone they love that has MND, what can they do to help? And this is a really great way where they can make a difference. So thank you for going through all that, Jason.
No problem. I'd like to add as well, Stacey, I think what you said there is really important, but also like most charities, we've really suffered under COVID-19. So our fundraising program's taken a huge dip. So we really rely on community support. So if you can inspire your networks to get behind us, that'd be really appreciated.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, does anyone have any questions or comments for Jason? No?
Look, my contact details are there anyway, so you might not have any questions or comments now, but please feel free to get in touch or encourage your family and friends to get in touch with me as well.